Ho ho buddies, once Borderline Games. I'm Gareth and today we're playing Chaos Head and it's episode 4. Last time we had a delusion of a serial killing, and then we actually witnessed the serial killer firsthand and we sprinted back to our house and now we're, well, house, I say house, it's like a shipment container on top of a stack of flats that's apparently owned by our dad. We've rushed back to forget about the real world and to dive straight back into ESO, so let's just do that. So, anyway, time to dive straight back into ESO. I just want to forget about the annoying real world ASAP. But it wouldn't last long. Just one day later, my immersion would be broken once again. My mental state had been on the up and up lately, but the moment I stepped outside, it all came crashing down again. Damn it. Why did I have to go to school today? It was so early. Why today? This is the worst. But it wasn't like I could just take the day off. If I did, my minimum attendance chart would get all thrown off and then I wouldn't be able to graduate. Everyone always talks about graduation, but what's the point? What am I graduating from, really? I was the one insisting on going through with it, but I still couldn't help but complain. As I approached the wealthy district of Matsunami, I finally realised I'd been feeling a gaze for a while now. Whose eyes are those? But this wasn't the usual god's gaze. I didn't feel any shivers on the back of my neck. What was that? As I turned the corner, I took a quick, tiny glance behind me, and I caught a glimpse of a girl wearing a Sumai uniform. Uh-oh. Is it the serial killer? No way. Was it the demon from yesterday? I instantly lost my composure. An extreme amount of tension overtook my body and my walking became stilted. A moment ago it was a quiet morning, like any other, but now it felt like the entire world was out to get me. I could faintly hear the sound of birds chirping atop the phone lines, and I could also hear music from the morning news playing in nearby homes. In a peaceful scene like this, where the crime would seem totally out of place, I came close to imagining myself getting brutally murdered. Okay. I needed to calm down. It wasn't like I'd clearly seen her face or anything, and there was nothing strange about seeing Sumai students walking behind me. We were headed for the same destination after all. I'd be fine. Even though the school was straight ahead, I decided to take a hard right. I was worried about what could be behind me, but I desperately suppressed the urge to turn around. I needed to keep my cool and act natural. My heart was pounding, but I kept walking. I continued for about a minute or so until I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I slowly turned around. I like that it's just the sprite being moved, just keyframed out of the shot. We made eye contact for a second, but I panicked and turned back around. Why was she following me? This path was obviously the long way to school. That meant she had to be tailing me. Either way, I'd never seen her before. She definitely wasn't the demon from yesterday, that was for sure. She was wearing glasses and the demon girl hadn't been. That fact alone was enough to calm me down. I decided to just head straight for school. I'd have to skip my routine breakfast at the park because of it, but oh well. Go fuck yourself, girl, eh? To me, you're just some background character. Pedestrian 1 or Girl A, so stay out of my way, goddammit. Made it to school. After I entered the school, Girl A disappeared. I'd expected to see her, I'd expected her to continue tailing me, but instead she turned and headed toward the third-year classrooms. Maybe she was never tailing me in the first place. Maybe I was just overthinking it. But still, it was definitely weird that she'd taken the same detour that I had. Did she hate me for some reason? Had I done something to piss her off? I didn't think so. No, I couldn't have. I hardly ever went to school, and when I did, I tried to keep my presence very minimal. So then what the hell was she trying to accomplish? Somehow I'd managed to make it through the torture known as school, quote unquote. On my way back, I made my usual stop at At Cafe. I took my seat in room 37. The nearby rooms were normally always empty, but surprisingly that wasn't true today. There was someone in room 36. Uh-oh. The door was closed, but the light from the desk lamp leaked through the cracks. I couldn't help but click my tongue when I entered my room. Having someone sitting nearby posed a bit of a problem. Whenever I did things like chatting online, I had the tendency to talk to myself sometimes. Well, whatever. Time to just ignore it and log into ESO already. As long as I make a conscious effort to stay quiet, it shouldn't really be an issue. The hell is wrong with these people? Irritated, I slammed my hands down on the keyboard. It'd only been 2 hours since I started playing, and I was already this close to throwing myself off a cliff. The people I'd partied up with today were total noobs. He's such a gamer. I've been trying my best to help them, but one of them went all Leroy Jenkins and just died repeatedly. Then the other one was a mage, but he didn't cast any healing spells at all. As a result, we just keep getting full party wiped over and over again. And yet, instead of figuring out why it was happening, all he ever did was continue to piss and moan in the chat. Fuck these shitty players. I finally just lost it. I proceeded to PK both of them, steal all their items, and instantly escape to another area. Everything Neidhart couldn't do, Lezelot could do without a second thought. This was exactly what I came all the way to At Cafe for. Finally feeling a bit better, I breathed a sigh of relief and went to grab a drink. At Cafe had a bunch of all-you-can-drink soda fountains in the reception area. And related to that was the only bad thing about room 37. It was kind of far away from the reception area. Wasn't it right next door to the one that you actually liked, though? When I left my room, the door to room 36 was open. Naturally, in order to make my way to the front, I had to go past it. Oh, I guess it was a little closer. I casually took a peek inside as I walked past, but there was nobody in there. Come to think of it, I had heard someone get up a moment ago. And although there was no one there, I saw a bag on the ground next to the reclining chair. It looked like a school bag. And there were a few toy straps hanging from it. Oh, those frogs that your sister had. They were Giro froggies, like the one Nanami had shown me yesterday. There were 3 of them in total. I guess they really were popular. Well, whatever. It wasn't like I cared either way. Besides, if the person came back and caught me staring, they might have taken me for a pervert or a thief. Realizing that, I decided to just go get my drink. However, right as I went to leave, my eye caught a glimpse of the text on their monitor and I froze. All things new gen. Ooh, new gen is the serial killings that have been happening in the local area, in the city that we're in. And that's one of the killings that we interrupted yesterday and we fled from. And if that wasn't enough, it was written in the most sickening font, as if it was trying to freak me out. We're not even going to see this sickening font. New gen. I've been deliberately avoiding any and all info about those cases. I really didn't want to know anything more about them. And as long as I kept avoiding them, I could keep telling myself that they had nothing to do with me. No. Forget about that. More importantly, the customer next to me was looking at a site lining out everything about new gen. Was it just a coincidence, or did it mean something? For a moment, the face of the demon girl flashed through my mind, sending goosebumps across my entire body. I shook my head violently, trying to force those horrible thoughts away. I was just overthinking it. Yeah, I had to be. Nobody was out to get me. I was just being paranoid. New gen was pretty much all the media talked about lately. By this point, anyone would be interested in it. That was all it was. Yep. No doubt about it. Anyway, I should just go get my drink already and then get back to business. I quickly placed my cup under the dispenser and pressed the cola button. Delicious ice-cold cola started pouring out. It was getting dark outside, which meant this place was going to get really crowded soon. There were already a few customers standing by the front desk waiting to be shown to their rooms, and the darker it got, the more people would show up. In about an hour or so, all the rooms surrounding room 37 would fill up. Once that happened, it'd be time for me to head home. I took my cup and headed back toward my seat. On the way, I casually glanced down the hall toward the bathrooms. That's when... It's her. Same girl. Ah. I saw a girl's figure disappear into the corridor. She'd been wearing a Sumai uniform and had glasses on her face. I recognized her. It was the same girl that had been tailing me this morning. Girl A. Huh? I thought I might have been mistaken, so I hid behind some bookshelves and looked toward the corridor for a while. But she never showed up again. It must have been my imagination. No, boy, it was not. Yeah, it had to have been. I'd only seen her for half a second after all. This place was typically swarming with Sumai girls, and plenty of them wore glasses. But what if it had been Girl A? If she was here, what would that mean? Was it just a coincidence, or had she followed me? I was starting to get a little scared. I left the cafe and started rushing back to my base. In the end, my anxiety had been too much to handle, and I'd left almost immediately after I saw the girl. I wanted to get home as soon as possible, but the crowded sidewalks were slowing me down. I was feeling sicker and sicker by the minute. I hated crowds. I always felt like people were watching me and snickering. A red pedestrian signal stopped me in my tracks as I waited for the light to change again. I couldn't help but take a quick look around. I didn't see Girl A anywhere. As soon as I reached the top of Dongunzaka, walking got a lot easier. Usually I would take the least crowded way back, but... It's definitely not the same girl, is it? The other girl has pink hair, right? After what had happened 2 nights ago, I figured I should stick to the main streets just to be safe. Or maybe that's part of his delusion. I was stuck at a red light again, so I took another look behind me, but Girl A was still nowhere to be found. The girl I'd seen at Cafe might have been a different person after all. It wasn't. Feeling a bit relieved, I let my tense shoulders relax a little, then turned back around. There she is. Oh. Let's go for green. Shocked, I took a step back. Oh, should it be green or red? Red might be a more interesting one. I took a step back. On the other side of the crosswalk, standing among the crowd, waiting for the light to change, was the girl. And to make matters worse, the gaze beyond those glasses was clearly pointed straight at me. She didn't even try to look away. Her eyes were so intense, it was as if they were urging me to do something. Right then, her glasses flashed white. Maybe they were reflecting the headlights of passing cars. Huh. Then I heard a sound. Her lips twisted into a curve, forming a smile that seemed closer to a sneer. Even though we were so far apart, even though there were so many people around, the girl's soft laugh reached my ears, clear as day. If I hadn't heard her so clearly, I would have thought she was simply exhaling. She laughed again, and then she suddenly rolled up the hem of her skirt. Countless shining objects fell to the ground and scattered every which way. They looked like crosses, images of the stakes from the crucifixion incident flashed inside my mind. Her expression looked completely insane. Only her lips were smiling, her eyes were bloodshot, and her cheeks twitched erratically. She then shoved through the crowd and leapt into the crosswalk. Despite the fact that the pedestrian signal was still red. What was she thinking? I cowered in fear. I thought about running, but I couldn't move an inch. My legs were practically rooted to the cement. I couldn't even speak. The girl was drawing closer. She was crossing the road, gripping a cross-shaped stake in her hand. Stay back! I made that plea in my head when... Girl A's body was sent flying by an oncoming truck. Screams resounded around me. The crowd was blocking my view, so I couldn't see what had happened to the girl. But I could tell. She was dead. There's no doubt about it. She was dead. She was lying in a heap on the street covered in blood, like some kind of sopping wet, tattered dish rag that had just been begging to be thrown away. Thank God, I thought instinctively. Not that I was proud of myself for thinking that way. Oh, I suddenly snapped out of it. I was swamped in a sickly cold sweat. The pedestrians had been screaming in shock, but now they were calmly waiting for the pedestrian signal to change. There was no truck anywhere in sight. And that girl with the glasses was still on the other side of the street staring at me, just like she'd been doing the entire time. Had that been just a delusion? The pedestrian signal turned green. All the pedestrians started crossing at once. I couldn't move, and Girl A didn't move either. She didn't laugh, nor did she roll up her skirt, nothing like that. She just stood there, staring me down. Were we the only ones standing still? As if time had frozen just for the two of us. Why was she not crossing the street? Why was she just standing there? It was strange. Really, really strange. I needed to stay away from her. I should just run. I'll just run straight home. Run! Whipping my weak, withered heart into shape, I broke into a sprint. I ran back down Dongensaka. How do we say that, do you think? Dogensaka? Trying to put as much distance between me and Girl A as I could. On the way, I turned to enter a back alley. And right as I did, I crashed into something and toppled over. Pain shot through my entire body. I groaned, not fully understanding what had just happened. The pain was so bad I could hardly stand. Looking up, I saw a big motor scooter lying on the ground. That must have been what I'd run into. I gritted my teeth and tried to force myself to my feet, but my legs weren't able to hold me up. Well, it didn't seem like I'd broken any bones, at least. Are you alright? Before I knew it, Girl A was right in front of me. She was peering into my face, eyes full of concern. What? What the hell was up with this girl? My body wouldn't move. As pathetic as it sounds, I was scared shitless. I had no idea what to do. My plan had been to catch a train ride to Shinsen and get home that way, but now I was starting to regret my life choices. Are you hurt? Girl A asked me timidly. Was she acting all worried so I dropped my guard? You won't fool me. I won't fall for your tricks, you 3D wench. What the hell is wrong with you? Huh? Quit following me. What do you want from me, anyway? Panicking, I lashed out at Girl A, who just stood there in surprise. I tried scuttling backward to make some distance, but I was still flat on my ass. If I didn't get away from her, she'd reach into her jacket, pull out a knife, and jump me. That was my thought process, anyway. That gruesome scene flashed through my mind over and over. All I could think was, that's how I'll end up. That's how I'll end up. The girl hung her head, looking a little hurt. So, you ran off, so I came to check on you. And then you fell, so I got worried. But, I don't, want anything from you, so, she didn't want anything from me. What? That didn't make any sense. Then, why have you been stalking me? Well, that's because... She was getting flustered. I just couldn't get over how suspicious she was acting. I'm Kusunoki. Yua. Nobody'd asked her to, but she suddenly started introducing herself anyway. To be honest, ever since the moment I first saw you, I've wanted to know more about you, so... I just instinctively... What, she just instinctively started stalking me? The girl, whose name was Yua, apparently, kept lowering her gaze as she talked. I'm very sorry. She bowed her head vigorously. There's no way. That was the only thing on my mind. Taking another look at her, this Yua girl was pretty cute. I had to give her that much at least. But that was exactly why I couldn't trust her. She was too cute. A 3D girl who wanted to interact with me with good intentions. What kind of eroge was this? Eroge? Eroge. In my whole life, nobody had ever said anything like that to me. There was no way I could take her confession seriously. It was just way too out of left field. Or did she think I'd be jumping for joy or something? Did she forget she'd been stalking me until just now? Sure, that kind of thing might work in the 2D world, but in real life, it was a certified boner killer. Also, this whole situation was really embarrassing. All I wanted was to get out of here ASAP. Just talking to her made me anxious. 3D really was total dog shit. I'm not into 3D. Huh? I mean... you're I always stuttered when I tried to say something harsh. But I had to be clear. Don't follow me anymore. I don't like it. You're freaking me out. Quit following me. I'm sorry. She sure looked disheartened. Maybe she'd actually meant it. No, don't fall for it. You can't trust anything about 3D women. You can only trust 2D. You can trust Seratan far more than this harlot. He's really broken. Just don't follow me anymore. I'm gonna go now. As I mumbled incoherently, I tried as hard as I could to stand up, but I struggled. My body was still hurting all over the place. My collarbone in particular was being a real bitch. He's even sexist against his own body. What a lad. The pain was making me feel kind of dizzy. I might have hit my head when I'd fallen down earlier. I almost fell over again, but Yua caught my hand and stopped me. Are you hurt? Here, I'll help you get up. I tried really hard not to make eye contact. I could feel my face turning bright red. She'd definitely make fun of me if she noticed, so I turned away and forcefully shook her hand off. My mind was totally blank. I'd hardly, if ever, touched a female before, except family members, of course. My heart was beating out of my chest. I'll help you get back home, because, you only got hurt because I was following you in the first place, so... Please, let me help you. I felt really happy when you asked me that. I wasn't really used to being treated kindly by others. Every other 3D woman I had interacted with before was utterly vile, but this girl, I was actually starting to warm up to her a little bit. But I didn't have the courage to look her straight in the eye. I mean, she had been stalking me. But she also might have been related to the demon girl. I didn't want to die. All sorts of thoughts flew through my head, but I couldn't focus on any single one of them. My mind was a total blur. So, which way is your house? Oh, Shinzen. I nodded before instantly regretting it. Why the hell had I told her that? Was I expecting something to happen if I did? This has to be one of my delusions. Maybe karma had put me on a lucky streak just so it could come to beat me down. Later. You saw that cliche all the time in anime. This must have been some sort of death flag. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Before I knew it, Yua was trying her best to prop me up with her shoulders. Her soft body was tightly pressed against mine, and I could smell a sweet scent coming from her long hair. This couldn't be real. There was no way a 3D girl was being this nice to me. Can you walk? It's just somebody being kind. It's not that weird. I nodded in response. Alright then, let's get going, shall we? Her voice almost sounded nervous. Then with my head pointed down at the ground, I started slowly walking. She'd done so much for me at this point, I couldn't turn her down or shake her off anymore. I was out of options, I just had to let her do as she pleased. Leaning on her delicate shoulder for support, the two of us got moving. Neither of us said a word until we reached the building, where my base was located. After all, there was no way I could hold a half-decent conversation with a girl, let alone one I didn't know. I knew that the second I'd bring up anime or video games, she'd automatically go, "Ugh, what a freak," just like every other 3D girl. She wouldn't even bother listening or trying to understand. From my point of view, there was just no point in talking to bitches like that. Fucking hell. He is fine. You can go now. That grumble was about all I could muster, and I looked at Yua to make sure that she understood it. She gave me a gentle nod in response, then removed her arm from under me. I was still a little unstable, but I managed to stay upright. How about I at least help you up to your room? Uh-oh. I completely ignored her suggestion and walked toward the lobby. Well, I say lobby, but it was really just a narrow entryway to the elevator hall. Still, the moment I lifted my foot to start climbing the small staircase leading up to it, a sharp pain ran through me, and I nearly fell over again. Are you okay? Yua rushed over to support me. Damn it, why was she still here? Alright, I'm coming with you to your room. I won't let you down. She sounded almost desperate. I hated to admit it, but Yua had been a huge help, and in the end, she'd taken me all the way back to my base. To get there, first we had to go all the way up to the 8th floor, then take a steep flight of emergency stairs up to the roof. In my current state, there was no way I could have been able... there was no way I could ever possibly have managed that alone. Yua wasn't strong in any sense of the word. She was very clearly running on fumes, and yet she had helped me up the stairs as if her life depended on it. So, this is where you live? Huh. Yua was left speechless when she saw my container house. No surprise there, normal people probably would never believe someone could live in a container. It's, kind of nice. Huh? It has this sense of rebelliousness to it. I like it. I never thought she'd say something like that. Was she just trying to flatter me or something? You won't fool me, wench. I'll never fall for 3D girls' tricks. With Yua still propping me up, we walked up to the container door, removed the padlock, and stepped inside. She's inside his house now. Whew! I was finally back. Today was another total catastrophe. This was why I really couldn't beat staying indoors. It's so dark. Where's the light switch? Did she really not have any shame just coming into my room like this? I mean, to be fair, she had brought me all the way here on her shoulder. But I really didn't want to see the rest of the room if I could help it. I mean, I had dozens upon dozens of figures lining up on my shelves. Piles of eroge, or eroge, boxes on my bed, and trash all over the floor. I'm fine. Now, let me go. After I said that, I waited for Yua to let go of me, but she didn't budge. Your floor's a little messy. I mean, it seems a little hard for you to walk across. It's dangerous in your current state. Let me take you over to the couch first. I'll let you go after that. In the end, I just kept on doing whatever she said. The couch was covered in CDs and magazines, but Yua quickly cleared them out of the way, as quickly as she could, while still holding me up anyway. As soon as she was finished, I sat right down. Man, she's just so sweet and caring. Wait, what am I saying? I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not! And is he going to fall for it? Is Takumi going to fall for it? Is that his name? I probably should know his name. Is it Takumi? Takumi! Is Takumi going to fall for it? Find out next time on Borderline Games. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Chaos Head, and I will see you next time. Have a good evening. Bye bye!